We're just allowing others to join in via conference line. Greetings, 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 my brothers and sisters. Well, it's me again coming to you with the fresh word. Have you ever said this? It don't make no sense. Come on, be honest. Often people might say, this don't make no sense for several reasons, including expressing disagreement, confusion, or lack of comprehension. It can also be used to convey that something is illogical, unreasonable, or even contradictory. So, if you didn't know, now you know. For those that are listening by conference line, the title for today's message is It Don't Make No Sense. Like little boy said the other day, it don't make no sense, mama. Why do people say it don't make no sense? There are multiple reasons, I'm sure. And the list is probably way too long to discuss. However, for starters, let's discuss a few today. What about the things you heard someone say that don't make no sense? What about when you see a woman, or for the ladies, a man who is in your eyes a perfect 10? Your thoughts may be, it don't make no sense. What about when you have a meal and it's so good to your taste buds? Have you heard someone say, I'm sweating like a pig? But guess what? Pigs don't sweat. How about someone saying, you are clean as a whistle? Now, whistles are notoriously one of the most germ-ridden items on the planet. What about when someone says, hey, last week I had to replace my hot water heater? Now, in reality, hot water heater, it's just a water heater. There would be no need to heat hot water, right? Say this with me. It don't make no sense. Now you need to tell the enemy, you can't humble what God has already lifted. You need to tell the enemy, hey, you can't humble me because God has already lifted me. Now, what about in conversation when there is disagreement? You know, that phrase can really express that they disagree with what someone else has said or even done. That may lead to confusion, which can indicate that the speaker is unsure about what they just heard or even read, or is struggling to really understand the meaning of what was said. And then there's a lack of comprehension. Sometimes people just don't get it. You know, sometimes people kind of hate on stuff they don't understand. You ever experience that? People, oh, I don't like that. I don't like, why? You just don't understand what they're saying. Or there's a new policy in place, and the first thing folks want to just, oh, I don't want to change the policy. Why? Because you don't understand it. It's designed for your good. It's designed to increase your metrics. Think about it. And then sometimes it can be, it's hard to follow the logic or the reasoning behind what someone is saying. And a lot of times that's what the enemy would say to those who are new believers and they're trying to understand and comprehend the Bible. And then they get frustrated because they don't really understand the reasoning or the logic behind some of the scriptures and how to apply it to their lives. And they say, this don't make no sense. It just don't make no sense. And the enemy will use that as fuel to get you to not go back and read the word of God, or to not go back in fellowship at a particular local church, or not follow these videos. I got over 100 videos to follow because you just don't understand. It don't make no sense. And that's what the enemy will use. Say, see, I told you, you don't get it. It don't apply to you. And that's so far from the truth. And then it gets to the point, it can get to a point where someone may say, that's absurd. You ever heard somebody say that? Because it don't make no sense. Now, also, it can be used to highlight a contradiction, if you will, or inconsistency in someone's argument, explanation, or even a lack of explanation. You ever talk to somebody and they really can't explain what they're saying, and you get a little frustrated, and you be like, hold on, man, it don't make no sense. Which could really lead to misunderstanding, and sometimes cause people to put their friendships on pause, which often can lead people to put their relationship with God on pause, because it just don't make no sense when God gives you instructions. He tells you something, he gives you a plan for your life and a purpose, and you really don't agree with it because you just don't understand it, because it don't make no sense. Think about that. Now let me go on and cut across the field. Why don't you say this with me? This is my breakout season. God is my fortress, and my favor that rests upon my life will manifest in Jesus' name. Come on. You better speak that over your life. You better speak that over your life. My brothers and sisters, was there ever a time when you knew it had to be nobody but God that got you out of that situation? Have there ever been a time in your life when you realize it don't make no sense how I got out of that situation? Now, take this for an example. There's a guy named Bobby. You know Bobby Brown, the singer, entertainer. Many of you may know him or heard about him. He recently told a situation on a podcast that years ago, when he was back home in his hometown of Boston, Massachusetts, while sitting in his Bentley with a close friend of his, a car pulled up next to them and shot in that car. The firearm just unloaded in that car. It was a tragic event. Now, even after that tragic event, it was reported that 178 bullets were shot into that car. And guess what? He didn't get a scar or a scratch at all. He walked away from the scene, y'all, unharmed. And many have said to this day, it don't make no sense how you walked away unscathed. It don't make no sense. Now, you too may have experienced the mighty hand of God upon your life, when he blessed you beyond measures, and you had to say to yourself, I don't know how he did it, but he did, and it don't make no sense. And truth be told, even after that, it don't make no sense that you're not really committed to God and have a right relationship with him. It just don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. After all he's done for you, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? In Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, really acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Now, my brothers and sisters, this verse really emphasizes the importance of trusting God's plan, trusting in the plan, even when it don't make no sense. Isaiah 55 verses 8 and 9 says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither your ways are my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, my thoughts than your thoughts. This verse really acknowledges the vast difference between God's understanding and our own, suggesting that we shouldn't expect everything to really align with our logic. You really can't comprehend the full measure of God, so don't even try. Especially when he gives you insight, he gives you vision, he gives you a dream. He lays something upon your heart to say, here's a goal, here's something I want you to undertake and be the first in your family to do this or do that. And it really don't make no sense. Ecclesiastes 8 and 17 says, then I saw all the work that God has done, and that man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. However much a man toils to seek it out, he will not find it. And you know, when you read a little deeper and have an understanding, the interpretation here really speaks to the point that the limits of human understanding, you know, and comprehending God's works, his handiwork, and the plans that he has for your life. That's what Ecclesiastes 8 and 17 is really focusing on. Now, John 16 and 20 says, truly, truly, I say to you, you will weep and lament, but I will be glad. Your sorrow will turn into joy. And again, this verse really is focusing on and suggesting that our earthly perspective may be limited, and that God's perspective is often different and ultimately more profound. This is why you need to give reverence to God, because he knows all. He knows all. He knows the beginning from the end and everything in between. And that's why sometimes it don't make no sense when he blesses you, even when sometimes you know you don't even deserve it. Come on now, who am I talking to? Have you noticed that? Sometimes God still blesses you, even you realize, hey man, why is he still blessing me? I haven't really been committed like I should. And then there are those you may know that you know their history, and they may not even have a closer walk with God. Yet, the hand of God is still on their life, and you can see that he's still blessing them. You say, this don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. Think about it. Let me go on the cut across the field, y'all. Let me go on the cut across the field. Now, there was a young lady named Sarah who had always dreamed of becoming adopted, y'all. But, you know, her family really couldn't afford to send her to medical school. But she was very intelligent. And despite the odds, she worked hard, and guess what? She earned a scholarship to a prestigious university. She didn't blame her family. She didn't blame God. She didn't throw a temper tantrum and say, this don't make no sense. Y'all know I was on the honor roll. Y'all know I was on the honor society. Y'all know I was smart. Y'all should have took out a loan. Y'all should have did this. No, she didn't do none of that. She took it upon herself and asked God to increase her faith and her intellectual capacity to earn a scholarship, because she knew what her purpose was in life. Now, she did get that scholarship, but just as she was about to start school, her dad got ill. He became ill. You know, she was already on campus and everything. She had to come home to take care of him. And guess what? It didn't make sense to Sarah either. Why her dream, God gave her a dream. She couldn't understand why her dreams seemed like they were being shattered. or put on hold. She didn't take it to the extreme and get mad at God. Say, God, you gave me this dream. You gave me this passion. You gave me the intellectual capacity to do what I'm doing. I know my purpose. And why is this disruption taking place in my life at this point? I need to be in school. She didn't argue with God. She didn't blame God. She didn't blame anyone. Although she did ponder, it don't make no sense. Guess what? She went back home to take care of her father. And guess what? She trusted that everything will work out because she was a believer. And she didn't just stop there. She even volunteered at the local clinic. While she was taking care of dad, she volunteered at the local clinic. And guess what? She gained valuable experiences there. And in the process of that, guess who she met? She met a physician named Dr. Thompson. And he became her mentor. And he helped her apply for additional scholarships. And eventually, her dad got better. He recovered. And Sarah went on back to school at Columbia University with even more support than she ever had before. And guess what? She graduated with honors and went on to become a doctor and fulfill her purpose by helping those in the community through her medical practice. Now, if you really want to think about it, her particular story, her testimony, shows that even when things don't make no sense, trusting in the process and persevering can lead to positive outcomes, and trusting in God that everything will be all right. You will see how you can win even when things don't go as planned and they don't make no sense. You don't throw in the towel, you trust in God. Now, her experience at the clinic and the support that she gained from her mentor, Dr. Thompson, it was very crucial in her journey because she ultimately she achieved her dreams. She became a doctor. Even in the face of adversity, she didn't throw in the towel. She didn't quit. She didn't look for anybody to blame. But she did say it don't make no sense. God placed that on her heart. She knew what her purpose was when she was in elementary school. And she was at the pivotal point. Now she's on campus getting ready to start her first semester, then she had to come home. She didn't blame God. But let me go ahead and prophesy to you. Greatness doesn't need permission. Hey, greatness doesn't need permission, y'all. God is about to give you a it don't make no sense type of blessing. God is about to give you, those that are listening and believing this resonate with you, it don't make no sense type of blessing. In about 3 weeks, some of y'all gonna call me back or text me, email me, and say, hey man, you're right. It don't make no sense how I got this contract. It don't make no, in the face of all of those that were bidding for it, it don't make no sense how I got this job and all these people applying for it. It don't make no sense. And my credit score increased in this short span of time. Don't make no sense how they said one thing on my doctor's report and it came back negative. It don't make no sense how God has blessed me in spite of me not being as devoted to him as I should. It don't make no sense, y'all. Daniel 9:23. Daniel 9:23 is a good verse. Now, this particular verse speaks of Daniel receiving insight and knowledge from God. See what I just said? He received knowledge and insight from God, not a psychic. From God. You know, hinting at specific times when his request would be answered. God spoke to him and told him, hey, I'm going to bless you around this time. I heard your cries. I saw your tears. Just hold on. Joy is coming in the morning. Esther 2:15 is another verse where it describes Esther as obtaining favor, y'all, and being chosen to become queen. What? At the right time. What this verse is really suggesting is that divine appointment is more powerful than you trying to go out here and do it yourself or trying to help God out. I remember years ago, my father would say, you will receive what you need in due season, in the right timing. When it's your turn, it's your turn. That's for somebody. When it's your turn, it's your turn. There's nobody else's turn. And what God has for you is for you. And it ain't gonna make no sense. It ain't gonna make no sense. Psalm 105 verses 8 through 11 is another verse of scripture where it don't make no sense. How do I know that? Because it talks about the promises God gave to Abraham and his descendants, suggesting that God will fulfill his promises in his own time, not your time. In Isaiah 60:22, this particular verse predicts that the least will become a clan and the smallest a mighty nation, emphasizing that God will hasten his plans, what? At the right time. And what? It ain't gonna make no sense. There will people be they will be jealous and those will be in awe, surprised, mesmerized, confused. How you got blessed the way you got blessed? How you got what you got? Knowing your past, knowing your history. Some of them knowing your current situation still don't understand why you being blessed. It don't make no sense. How all your kids wind up being prosperous in society from a single parent household. How all your kids turned over a new leaf knowing what they used to do. It don't make no sense. You still in your right mind after all the devil threw at you. It don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. If you still have the love of God in your heart, knowing how those folk treated you, it don't make no sense, bro. You still got the love of God and the favor of God over your life, knowing how they treated you. It don't make no sense, especially to unbelievers. And some believers, it don't make no sense to them how God's hand is still on your life. Knowing you're not perfect, but they know a little bit of your history and God's still blessing you. It don't make no sense. Who am I talking to? 1 Corinthians 4:2 talks about the responsibility of those entrusted with God's work and suggesting that those who are faithful will have their turn to serve God. My brothers and sisters, we often focus so much on our inadequacies that we become discouraged and sometimes fail to rise to our callings. But in commitment to his purposes, God does not relent in getting us where he wants us to be. Sometimes he makes what we consider impossible possible. Why? To grow our character, to increase our trust in him, to make him known to others through us, to take us deeper in our faith, to really experience him in new ways, and to receive the glory and the unexpected miracles that we do experience in those moments where it don't make no sense how God's still blessing me. It don't make no sense how the favor of God is still on my life. Some of you knew that when you was out there in the world doing what you wanted to do, the favor of God was still on your life. Still on your life. And folks sitting back and watching from afar like, it don't make no sense. How God's still blessing them. They can't see the hand of God in their life. Sometimes it takes people longer than others to really see the hand of God is still on their life. And he's calling them and inviting them in to a closer relationship. And sometimes folks say it don't make no sense. They can't see. It's time for them to let that go. It's time for them to come on in the house. Come on in the room, so to speak. My brothers and sisters, we are God's workmanship, created to do good works for the advancement of his kingdom. How do I know that? Because it's right there in Ephesians 2:10. It's right there in Ephesians 2:10. However, hey, don't let the imperfections of your human nature and your feelings cast doubt on your ability to fulfill God's plan in your life, even when it don't make no sense. Be blessed.